ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on today's episode, in the news, we took a very bad week to take off. We chose a very bad one. There's a lot of news. In trailer talk this week, I don't know if you guys knew this, we took a very bad week to take off. And there's a lot of trailers in trailer talk this week. The new streaming list is 2 weeks in one, but it's still a light week. And we'll get to what we're watching, of course. And then our main review for the episode is Nope. But before we get to any of that, I'm joined today, of course, by Not Moving Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm not moving, Nathaniel. I will not move. I'll stay right here.
Is this are you trying to save like a tree or something? Is this like a tree protest? Or?
No, I won't back down. I take Tom Petty to the heart, you know.
I see.
I
Okay.
won't back down.
That's right. Exactly.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Also joining us today, it's Territorial Ty, Tyler Vidalis.
I'm super territorial.
Yeah?
No.
Oh.
The wild Tyler is known to defend his territory viciously if provoked.
Well, I mean, in Apex, I guess he's pretty territorial, you know?
Can be.
Can be. You prefer Kings Canyon over the other map?
I really like I think it's called Olympus, which is like a
How many maps are there
new
now?
one. I think there's like 4.
Holy shit.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
I got out of it when the second one came out, so that's a lot.
Well, good on you.
Yeah, I'm done. That and Warzone, I'm out.
Warzone, I could totally be out on 100%, but that's
Yeah.
Definitely a conversation for another day. Apex is still surprised everybody and still tends to stay alive and rejuvenate itself pretty consistently. So right now it's pretty cool because I have a like an anime season going on. One of the characters is meant to look like Monkey D. Luffy. Another one's meant to look like a Naruto character. One of them looks like an Evangelion, which is really cool. So yeah,
That's really fucking cool.
yeah, it's dope.
Maybe I'll hop on just to get the Evangelion.
Would
Rounding
recommend.
out, what'd you say?
Said I would recommend.
Yeah. Rounding out the squadron, of course. It's Big Fries BlakeHolder.
I like the name, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That came up in the movie, and I was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that later because I don't want to say too much. But yeah, Fries Electronics made an
R.I.P..
appearance.
Awesome
And-
appearance in the movie, by the way.
Yeah, and
Yeah, really just great.
really great. But you know, Best Buy, Corey, you know, we try to get you guys to sponsor the podcast, but Fries beat you to it, you know. So
Corey,
now we're here.
listen to us.
You don't say.
Corey Berry, CEO of Best Buy, of course. Friend of the show.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the
Allegedly.
pod. Not allegedly. I have a picture with Corey.
Oh, well, there you go. All the proof we
Yeah.
need.
That's all the proof we need. All right. Well, I would love to do some pleasantries here, but something tells me this is going to be a very long episode, and we kind of have another one that we're going to try to record after this to make up for last week's miss, because Tyler tested positive for COVID. How are you feeling, Ty?
I feel a lot better than I have in the past. So
That's good.
Tuesday and Wednesday were really, really rough.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Yeah, to the point where obviously I couldn't do
Couldn't
anything.
record and-
Yeah, so-
Yeah, I couldn't record, and then Papa Schwartz and co were visiting me in DC, so I couldn't record another night of the week. So we're just like, okay, well, it happens, and we're pushing it out. So
I assume
we're gonna get it
that
done.
obviously Papa Schwartz had to meet with several of his spy contacts while he was there in DC, so he really didn't get to spend that much
I'm not
time together.
allowed to speak on that.
Okay, but if you found like a plant pot in the window where it wasn't normally, or like a red X written in marker somewhere or something.
It was a red flag in a potted plant on the balcony of the Watergate Hotel. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
I mean,
Not to be specific, but yeah,
that's a classic. I understand why you would go for that.
of course.
Papa Schwartz is a traditionalist, I suppose.
He is. He's a man of tradition and you know and paying respect to those who set some precedents.
By the way, before we go much further, news. I'm going to say news. I have a bit of news. Congratulations to Joe and Yuka, who welcomed their baby to the world the other day.
Congrats.
Little Cora Sortino. So she's pretty chill. And yeah, another back row fan.
That's the
All right. Second
friend-
generation.
Didn't you officiate their wedding?
I did, yeah. Joe was my
that name
roommate
sounds familiar.
in college for most of it. And yes, I did officiate their wedding. And
That's
now
awesome.
they got a kiddo.
They're-
So
The Rev.
that's
Cool.
right. Congrats to them.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Nice. Yeah, that's dope. Everybody's popping out babies.
Truth.
Dude, your next tie.
Whoa.
Whoa. All right. Well, let's get on to the news here, guys. Like I said, we got a busy news week, so we're gonna fly through these first news stories. They're nothing too heavy, and then we have a bunch of Comic-Con news, but we're mainly just gonna talk about the Marvel stuff because what else happens at Comic-Con? It's Marvel's convention almost, and some DC stuff too, but not a lot. Anyway. Of the quicker news stories here, we have A Quiet Place Day 1 prequel pushed back in its release date. This is the
Good.
Michael Sarnowski who directed Pig. This is his movie. It's been revealed that it is a prequel called A Quiet Place Day 1. It was originally set for a September 22, 2023 release date, and it has been pushed back to March 8th, 2024. So about like 6 or 8 months, Nothing too crazy, and nothing I'm sure any of us are too concerned about because we don't necessarily need this. Although I
No.
will say, and I think Nathaniel will probably agree with me, Sarnowski does intrigue me for this project.
Yeah, he's about the only thing that I'm interested in on this. I don't care. I don't care if this movie ever comes out, but I do care because I want to see more stuff from that guy and what he'll do next. But
That's valid.
maybe I don't know. Maybe give him something original to do. Who knows? Maybe another theme that will come up a lot this week. But anyways.
I can't agree with you more on that one, Nathaniel. I mean, in terms of great director, right? We did like Pig. But as far as kind of pushing this one back, like I have no interest in seeing this movie, to be honest with you. I think A Quiet Place is one of those things where they should have left the first one as is, and I think it would have gone down as a very, 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 very good film. And I think they're just going to end up burying it, trying to make spinoffs and prequels, sequels, requels. It's unfortunate, but
that time in the 80s when there seemed to be like sequels to everything. Are we just like back in that again?
I think so.
Maybe
it's not only that, but it's also like the nostalgia movies too, and the requels and stuff. But it's like no one learned the
100%.
right lesson.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because we'll get into it when we do the trailer talk stuff. But obviously, I'm sure Adam is very excited for John Wick. But it's just funny because the name pops up and it's in orange and blue glowing behind it, and I'm like, this is when Tropic Thunder's making fun of Scorch.
Oh sure, yeah.
It's just like John Wick again.
Still
Yeah.
John Wick.
I mean, I think Nathaniel hit it on the head. I think that's just where we're at with our time. But yeah, nonetheless, I don't care. They can push this shit back another 2 years, and I wouldn't be upset at all.
Yeah, right. It's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. So we'll see where that goes. I mean, like Nathaniel said, Sarnowski is kind of the only thing keeping me there.
For sure.
know?
Agreed.
But that being said, I think I still don't mind the Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad.
No,
I will say that much.
I don't think
It's certainly not bad, but I just don't think it was something we needed.
Right.
I think the mystique of the creatures and everything, just it's awesome when you don't have answers.
Right.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
The more answers they give us, which is inevitable, and the more films you make, the more answers you're going to get. And I think it just kind of slowly goes downhill from there. So,
Yeah. That's fair.
Do you?
All right. Well, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let me ask you this then. So, do you guys think in this prequel, do you think we're going to figure out like where they came from? I feel like it's gonna be hard that they don't at least touch on that, or rather they came from another planet, rather they're just a life form, a superior being uses to like eradicate other life. Do you know what I mean? Do you think they're gonna get to something like that?
It depends. I don't know, just because this is day one. So it's like, how could anyone have that answer on day one? Unless this story that they tell is from the perspective of like some government agency, maybe, or
I
maybe that's
fucking
like a
hope
part
not.
of it that like
Yeah.
it somehow gets that information.
Sure.
But like
yeah.
other than that, I don't know how any civilian is supposed to be like, oh, they came from X
Mhm.
planet to do
Yeah.
X. You know,
I don't
Glenn
know.
Dathu.
Klendathu. Yeah.
I don't know how you do a day one
Would
thing
you like to know more?
ever like better than Cloverfield did it though.
That's a good point.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Awesome movie, by the way. Wasn't necessarily held high at its time. And what is that? 07?
Yeah, it was
I
something
think-
great.
Wasn't that later? I thought it was
No, no way, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, it
almost
might have
positive
been.
I was in middle school when I
Oh
saw
wait,
that.
it's 08.
Oh,
It's
wait.
08.
Oh,
It's
wait.
08,
Yeah, good
Okay,
point.
You're right. You're right on.
But yeah, nonetheless, one that wasn't necessarily held high in its time, but just as you look back over it, yeah, to Nathaniel's point, it's an awesome day one film. And
Yeah.
it was the found footage, the shaky cam, but all that makes sense with that film.
Right.
You know, so it's perfect. Man.
Sure. That's a good point. All right. Well, moving on to our next kind of quick news story. Deadpool and Logan heading to Disney Plus, which makes them both the first R-rated films on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So this is
yeah.
kind of something we talked about not too long ago, I don't think. I forgot what it was that we were talking about specifically. Maybe it was the Daredevil, Jessica Jones stuff. But ever since they bought Fox, it was kind of like a up in the air kind of thing. It's like what else was going to happen with these.
Right. We didn't know if they were going to go on to Hulu, if they were going to become
Yeah.
like a different section on here, or what was going to
Yeah.
happen with these pieces. I know in other countries there are like there's another part of Disney Plus called Star that has like the Hulu category and like all of this stuff on there, but we didn't know what we were getting here in the US of A.
Yeah, but we do now. So Deadpool and Logan will be there. When does it say? Do they have a release date? Does not say in the story whether they have a release date, which is unfortunate. But I'm assuming it's going to be sometime soon, and you'll hear about it when they do come on the new to streaming, I'm sure. So if I had to guess, it's probably in the next couple months.
Yeah.
All right, that's the other quick news story, and our last one is Kurt and Wyatt Russell board Apple TV Plus and Legendary's Godzilla series.
Cool.
So yeah, right. That's actually kind of fun. So the father-son acting duo will both be joining the new Godzilla project at Apple TV Plus.
Now talk about a movie that you could do day one. That would be fun too. Although again, it'd be very Cloverfield-esque, but still.
It would be very Godzilla 2014-esque, I feel like.
True. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
I guess what other story do you tell besides that one, though, you know?
A love story between Godzilla and Mothra.
Okay. I'm in. You've piqued my interest, sir.
Yeah. With where that franchise is going, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a movie somewhat like that. You know,
Well, I don't know.
Probably
Is
could.
this going to be
just because yeah,
connected?
it's gone away from like the realism where 2014 was definitely like
Yeah. For sure.
humans, huge monster interactions, and then like after that it was like
Yeah.
America and just the people like we want more monsters. It's like the
Yeah.
movies after that are just monsters fighting each other, and they're cool, but just tonally different movies.
Yeah.
America doesn't really have a monster in that sense, do we? In those movies.
King Kong?
But yeah, I mean, we
Oh, in
capture
those
him from
movies, you
like
mean.
Skull Island kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
okay.
No,
We don't have a big monster. We should get just like a giant buffalo or something like that.
a giant.
But I feel
bison.
like King Kong is like the closest America has to that now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's very American.
Where's Pacific
it's-
Rim take place? Does that take place
All over.
in the States?
Tokyo.
Yeah, all
But yeah,
over.
they are all over.
In the Pacific?
It's not really part of that universe, but like Lake Placid. You
There
know?
we go. Yeah,
okay,
Jaws.
good.
You know?
Good catch.
That's what we get. We get America has just Jaws and Lake Placid, the Lake Placid crocodile next to each other fighting Godzilla.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
I'm there for it.
Yeah. Few
Take
creature
my-
features.
Take
Maybe
my
the
money,
giant
Apple TV.
ants from them. We just have really big animals.
Hollywood Reporter does have a quick synopsis of the series. It says the Untitled series is set in the aftermath of the battle between Godzilla and the Titans that decimated San Francisco, as depicted in the 2014's Godzilla, which launched the film franchise. Well, I don't know if it launched the film franchise or launched the reboots, though. It will follow a family's journey to uncover its buried secrets and a legacy linking them to the secret organization known as Monarch.
I hope
So-
they get Gareth Edwards back. He hasn't done anything really since what was it, Rogue One? That he basically got kind of like Disney took
yeah.
over. But I really love his thing on Godzilla, and maybe this would be a good opportunity to bring him back
Yeah.
and do more cool stuff.
Hopefully. 2014 Godzilla, underrated, I think. I think it aged pretty well.
Yeah. I agree. I'll have some thoughts on that.
All right. Well, that's it for the quick news stories. Let's get into Marvel Comic-Con news, because holy shit. Just when you thought it was over. Actually, I never thought it was over. I just want it to be over, One of those things. But anyway, we got a whole slate of Marvel covering everything up until, what did they go to, 2025?
I believe
think
so.
so.
Phase 6, I think. I'm just trying to find this. There you go. There's this succinct list. Okay. So they initially started by saying phase 4, which has been everything after Endgame. Everything after No Way Home.
Correct.
Phase 4 is ending with is it Black Panther?
Yeah, Wakanda forever.
Yeah. that
Yeah,
sounds
Black
correct.
Panther Wakanda Forever at the end of this year, and will be they'll start phase 5 with Ant-Man and Quantumania thing. Is just
Yeah.
Ant-Man Quantumania?
Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man 3. So they're already ending phase 4, which feels quick and feels brief, but then I think back on it and I'm like, oh, there's like 6 movies in there.
Yeah, a ton of content.
Yeah, and then all the TV shows on top of that, if you include that as part of the phases, then yeah, there's actually a lot in phase 4. But it's all very loose. Phase 4 is very loose, and it seems like after Comic-Con, we have finally gotten kind of a general direction in which all these things are going to be heading.
I agree.
For better, for worse. So it seems like we have kind of an idea of where everything is going to go from here on in, which is good to finally get an idea of, and something I think we were talking about how it's like the first Marvel set of Marvel movies. I don't know if we were talking about this or I heard this somewhere else, but like the first set of Marvel movies before the Avengers were all on their own and their own thing, and it wasn't until the Avengers that they really started to get a plan forward together. And I feel like that's kind of how they've done this phase 4 thing, is like phase 4 has been very loose and separate, and then now we'll head into the post Avengers world, or post first Avengers Marvel, where it's like everything is then together, heading in a general direction. They're calling this story arc, the first one was the Infinity Saga. This is the multiverse saga. Is that what is it? Is it saga or I forget what they're calling it.
Saga,
exactly. I think it's just multiverse saga. So let's see. Let's do some dates here. So we have She-Hulk August 17th, and then Black Panther Wakanda Forever November 11th. That's gonna be in then phase 4. Phase 5 starts with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, February 17th of 2023. Then Secret Invasion. This is a Disney Plus show in spring of 2023. What If Season 2 is early 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is May 5th, 2023. And then there's a show called Echo coming to Disney Plus summer 2023. Then The Marvels is July 28th, 2023. Now, pause for a sec. I've listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things now. all in the first 7 months of 2023.
Good.
We're only into July. Then Loki season 2 is summer 2023, and then Ironheart is fall 2023. Now, where does Phase 5 end and Phase 6 begin? Is my question.
I think it's Captain
Fantastic
America.
4. Okay, so Fantastic 4 will kick off Phase 6. Is that what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Okay.
That sounds right.
So, pardon the yeah. Go ahead. Thanks, Blake.
We're here getting
Anyway.
real on the Chicago streets, folks.
We really are, yeah.
Explains.
Displays.
Hey, we're in the theater of the mind here. We can be anywhere, man.
You're right. And then we have Ironheart, which is fall 2023 Disney Plus show. Then we have Blade, which I'm very excited for. I'm sure everyone else here is. Yeah, Blade's coming November 3rd, 2023. And then Agatha, Coven of Chaos is winter of 2023 Disney Plus show, kind of a follow-up to WandaVision, it seems like. Daredevil Born Again is spring 2024.
Christian.
So now we're... Yes. And then Captain America New World Order, so Captain America 4, May 3rd, 2024. Thunderbolts, July 26, 2024. And that is all of Phase 5. Which is so much. And yet, that's all in the span of 15 or 17 months. 16 months. From February 2023 to May 2024. Or July 2024. That's so much. That's so much.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
But before you get all up in arms about that, I don't think there's been one of those phases in the past so far that's ever gone to plan since they announced it at
That's true.
at a Comic-Con.
That's very true. They always get shifted around somewhat with either dates or what shows or what some get pushed in front of others, that kind of thing.
So
these are all tentative, of course. But that being said, I don't remember another phase that has had that much in that little amount of time.
For sure.
Yeah, that is just so much Marvel. And then Phase 6 starts November 8th, 2024 with Fantastic Four. And then they have the Avengers. It's going to be another 2-parter Avengers climax for the saga. It will be Avengers the Kang Dynasty May 2nd of 2025 and Avengers Secret Wars November 7th, 2025. So those will come out within 6 months of each other, and which is cool. I like that a lot. So they'll film probably consecutively, or maybe those are just 2 separate movies. And they're 2 separate sets of heroes because they have so many at this point.
What is it? I heard today a rumor that the director of Shang-Chi had been announced to direct.
He's
Kang.
doing Kang Dynasty.
Yeah,
is what I heard, which is funny that they're talking about that now, when that's 3 years away. But that being said, when you consider it, they're gonna have to start production on some of these movies pretty soon.
Right.
I mean, I would say in a year from now, you're going to start seeing production on Fantastic Four. That's pretty crazy to think about, that these things that we're seeing all this laid out, but that's all of this stuff that I have just listed, which is I don't even know how many projects, 14 or 15 is all within 3 years, the next 3 years.
Well, I mean, by the time they do come out, Back Row Banter will be coming to you live from the red carpet of the premieres and everything. So
obviously,
yeah, we don't have to worry.
So we have
much.
that to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Blake's not even gonna go. He's gonna be like, "Fuck this shit. I don't want to. I don't want to be."
I'll probably check out Blade. I'll check out Blade.
Okay.
I'll probably
be there for Blade.
I'll probably check out Ant-Man.
All 3 of us are at Hall H Comic-Con. Blaze just and I'm here at the horror festival in Portland.
Yeah, for sure. You can count me in on that.
Oh man, that'd be fucking hilarious. I'm gonna be honest. So a lot of Marvel.
Yeah, I'm going through this list to see things that stick out to me in terms of the timeline. I mean, what are we in now? Are we in Phase
4?
We're in Phase 4.
Quattro.
Until Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Should we just talk about that trailer now and tie that together?
Yeah, we can, and then we'll take one
Sure.
out of trailer talk. But yeah, the trailer dropped for this, and is that the only trailer we had for Marvel? I think so.
She-Hulk also dropped as well too.
She-Hulk
but,
had another trailer. I didn't even put that in trailer talk because who cares?
I care. It looks
Yeah.
fun.
Well, the Black Panther joint
Alright,
was
I
more
believe
like a
you.
teaser, right? For the most part,
It's
did
like
you
a
guys call
full
that teaser, or
trailer.
would you call that a trailer?
I'd call that a trailer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a pretty big trailer.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if it's over
So-
90 seconds, it's a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, sick ass trailer. I loved it.
Yeah.
Made me way more excited than I thought after Chadwick Boseman passed because I was like, how are they gonna pick this up? But you know what? Seems like they were like, nah, we got it.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
I agree. Like for me, all of my Marvel kind of angst that I've been feeling lately just kind of went away after I saw this
Hit
trailer.
on that one. It really did, right?
And I was just like, holy shit, this looks incredible. Which,
Right.
shout out Ryan Coogler. I don't think he's ever made a bad
I was
movie.
about to say.
So
Ryan
I'm
Coogler.
very excited for this one.
Yes, me as well. This looks awesome. And let's talk really quick about the song in this trailer because it starts off. I don't even know what the original one was, but then of course they start remixing it with Kendrick, and I just lost my shit and I got chills. I got.
Well,
straight up chills watching
the
this.
song that the trailer starts on
Sorry.
is "No Woman, No Cry" by Bob
Okay.
Marley, and it's sang by
Okay.
somebody else, which
Okay.
is pretty cool because the song itself is meant to be empowering for women, and
Mhm.
obviously you're going to get a lot of that throughout this movie because Chad is gone,
Mhm.
and now all you have are basically the powerful women in Wakanda. So
Mhm.
that's how that kind of led in, and
I like that.
it kind of opens up into, obviously they show most of the women that are obviously going to be partaking in this film, and I think one of the other things that I'm really excited about is the fact that you get to see Ironheart, and you get to see her pound out her little heart, and then it hits the floor, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, this is a big trailer to kind of unpack here.
We're getting Namor.
We are getting Namor. There are also potential talks of in the trailer too, where you finally get Kendrick, and it says, "And when I wake up," and then you see the claws.
Yeah.
Figure looks a lot more masculine than it does feminine, so a lot of people are saying, because there's gold in there as well, that this could potentially be Killmonger coming back, which would be fucking lit.
No, that'd be so cool, bro. We get Michael B.
I didn't
Jordan
read
coming
that.
back.
And because you hear, and when I wake up, that's like because he's coming back to life because everybody thought he was dead. So that's also kind of
Yeah.
playing into he's been on the astral planes, or it could also be referring to his sister coming back
Yeah.
too, because at some point people think that she dies because the mom says, "I've literally lost my whole family."
Yeah.
So now people are thinking that she dies. So yeah, this is a big trailer. It's there's a lot to unpack here, and I think this is probably going to be one of the most impactful movies that we've gotten since like the Infinity War days.
See,
I
I
think
think
I'd agree
this-
with you on that.
I could very well see this being the best Marvel film since Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah, I'd agree to that.
I think
Which- If you guys remember, that's a lot coming for me considering how much I love No Way Home. Sorry, what were you saying, Nathaniel?
I was just gonna say, I think going off Tyler's point, I think there's a good chance that's Lupita Nyong'o in that final Black Panther suit. Just like from like a casting perspective of like who I would have in there and the way that she was kind of underutilized in Star Wars and everything. I'm sure they've got her under contract still. Wouldn't be surprised if they flipped her into the Black Panther role too, as well. Plus, I
There's
rewatched.
a lot of potential for who could be in that suit, and I think a lot of people are just ready and really excited to see it.
Waz would also like it to be known that he thinks it's very funny that Disney is doing, or Marvel is getting to do Avatar Water People before Avatar Water People comes out later this year as well too. And I think it'd be funny if you could create a storyline where like Marvel's just pissed off at James Cameron for re-releasing Avatar, like for those last couple months to try and like beat out Endgame again for the #1 grossing movie ever. And so they're just like, screw you, we're gonna do
Constantly
Blue People
going back and
too.
forth.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
So-
no, the movie looks good too, though, as well from what
It
we've seen.
really does.
This is one I'm more excited for, to be honest with you, especially in Phase 4.
I was
It
really
hasn't been too much to write home about besides Spider-Man, in my opinion.
I was really curious what Blake's opinion was going to be, if this was going to be enough to bring him back on. I'm excited as well too.
Yeah. I mean, it would be right. I would say this is the most I'm looking forward to from a Marvel movie, probably outside of like Spider-Man: No Way Home, and that was just from a nostalgic standpoint, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to see all 3 Spider-Mans I've grown up on screen. I would say the rest of the movies are all kind of like, I don't think I really care about Thor. I don't care to watch a Doctor Strange, right? But this is one that's like, you know what? I would probably watch this even outside of this podcast.
Sure.
So yeah, so it is one that's definitely on my radar. So that'll be cool. What's the release date on that thing again, fellas?
November 11th.
Okay. Yeah.
Hang on, don't quote me. Yeah, November 11th, which is
That'll be big. Do you guys think that'll be the highest grossing film of 2022?
I don't know. Top Gun Maverick is a big one.
It's crushing it, yeah.
But
it's got a chance though.
If anything is going to beat that, it's this. A Marvel movie
got a good chance.
that is following up. So it's following up Black Panther, which was, a lot of people's. Oh, Nathaniel's got his hand up. I'm sorry. What?
You are forgetting Sir James Cameron and his Avatar sequel coming out as well too, sir.
Oh, I forgot that's December. I was thinking that's January. That is December, right? 2022?
That is, yes. Yeah.
That is December.
So yeah. Okay, yeah.
I'm half joking. I think Black Panther is going to crush it. I think this thing's going to come out to this is going to be the No Way Home of this year. And
I think so too.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
This thing's going to be huge.
It's following Black Panther, which was critically acclaimed and it made a ton of money. It's coming off of
made $1 billion.
Boseman passing. Yeah, it made $1 billion.
Superstar.
Death of a Superstar, and it's Marvel, which is already got a lot going for it in that regard. So all those things combined, I think this is about to do gangbusters, and I think it's gonna be really good too, which is obviously going to help as well. So
yeah.
All right,
and to top it off on that, I do think it'll end up being a good film.
I think so too.
Right?
Yeah,
where it won't just be like the Marvel candy of joke action.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's actually going to be a good film. So I think that will get word of mouth and get everybody, to your point, to go ahead and watch it. So yeah, I think it'll be highly anticipated, as we all know.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Let's move into trailer talk here. Let's get it going a little bit. I am a little worried about how much time we've been doing. So Lord of the Rings. Hey, Ty.
Yeah, I'm gonna let y'all kick that one off.
Yeah. We have 2 Lord of the Rings trailers in the past 2 weeks, which is hilarious. Because we have their main teaser is what it's called, and then they have their Comic-Con trailer. So we have about 5-ish minutes of trailers to go over. But Ty, I'm assuming you've watched both of these multiple times.
I have.
Yes. Thoughts?
I'm really excited. I'm part of a couple of different Facebook groups and other things of that nature for Lord of the Rings specifically.
Are you really?
Yeah, oh yeah. And
okay.
And there's just there's usually some pretty constructive stuff on there, but people are already starting to kind of shit on this thing, and obviously no one's even seen it yet, and people are getting characters mixed up. At one point there was this whole meme of a girl playing Sauron, and then somebody finally came out and they're like, "That's not Sauron, you idiots! Look at the fucking cast listing," and they're like, "This is Sauron. This is who this other person's playing," and so I almost had to remove myself from the group just because so many people were like, "Oh, it's not true, the place," and then everybody else that I associate with, they're like, "Well, would you just rather not have any more Middle Earth material?"
Yeah.
There's no way this thing's gonna be dog shit. Granted, it's probably not gonna be anything that's Academy Award winning esque, the original Lord of the Rings, first trilogy, but first of all, you haven't seen it, so give it a shot. And second of all, there's so much to just unravel in these trailers. And it's wild because a lot of people, typically watch a 2-3 minute trailer and man, that was sick. But then there are people out there that just dig and constantly dig and just find everything in those trailers that's really supposed to stick out. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming up for this in particular. And I think it's gonna be awesome, and I'm really, really excited.
I will say this has these two trailers have gotten me more excited than I have been anything leading up to this, which I think is kind of obviously their goal as we get closer and closer to their premiere date. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this, honestly. Like it does look good. And I love your point. I love what you're thinking with the like, would you rather have no other Middle Earth stuff? Because I was thinking about this watching this. I was like, this is really interesting because it's similar to the new Game of Thrones show where it's not original source material. Like there's nothing they're basing these off of. It's all the show is all new. So there's not like, something to base it off of or something to compare it to really, which I think is going to be interesting for both of these because it's two high fantasy shows that have each had guidelines to follow before they were made into TV shows, and now they're kind of just doing it on their own. I'm interested to see how each of them pull it off. Because if I had to guess, I think Game of Thrones. I don't know which one would have an easier path of doing so. I feel like Game of Thrones might just because, as we're saying with that group on Facebook, it's like people are so anal about Game of Thrones or about Lord of the Rings, and lore and stuff like that, and people are with Game of Thrones, but I don't think to that extent, just because it hasn't been around as much and there hasn't been as much of a fandom, and some of it's fallen off in the past few years. So it'll be interesting to see how they both handle that now that they're both creating original stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Pretty much wholeheartedly on the fact that Lord of the Rings fans they're just wild sometimes.
Yeah.
And you get that anytime you have something that's so good that just creates such a vast community around it. It's like the same thing with like Star Trek and Star Wars. Like if you just like jump off, somewhere, somebody's like, ooh, it's like, dude, shut up. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. The trailers look great. We got the one at the Super Bowl as well. So yeah, I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this plays out. That debuts. Do you know the debut date? I'm trying to
I
find
believe
here.
it's September 5th, which is a Friday.
September 2nd.
Second, sorry. The 5th is Labor Day.
Oh, okay. So that Labor Day weekend. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So we have that to look forward to in just under 2 months. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's getting close.
It's quick.
I'm very excited.
It is quick. Then, of course, Lord of the Rings will be competing with my preferred fantasy show, Game of Thrones House of the Dragon. That's debuting August 21st, so that'll be out less than 2 weeks before Lord of the Rings, and it will continue after Lord of the Rings is done, because I think Lord of the Rings is, 6 episodes? 6 or 7?
I believe so.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings is going to be Game of Thrones is going to be a full 10-episode series. So it'll be on before and after it is the Lord of the Rings show. Regardless, this is our first. Well, we had like a longer trailer, but it was like flash cuts and like snippet footage.
Yeah,
just random stuff, like a montage almost. And this is like our first like story trailer, full main trailer that kind of gives us an idea more of the story. And it seems like it's a Game of Thrones within House Targaryen, which is fascinating to me because I didn't think they were going to take a route like that, because we've only seen Game of Thrones on the scale of all of these different warring houses. But then you have this dominant house that is now going to be fighting within itself a little bit, which I think is going to be really cool. And obviously fits to the whole House of the Dragon thing. And we see more Matt Smith here, which he looks incredible, and I'm very excited for that. And more dragons, of course, but we already knew that was coming. I'm obviously going to watch this and I'm most excited out of everyone here, I think, but does this do anything for anyone else here?
I think for me, the question becomes kind of like very similar to what you were saying earlier, in that like, I just wonder what their plan is for both of these shows. Is it going to be, are they going in with like an idea of like, well, there's going to be a 3-season arc, or, are these all going to be pilot seasons kind of thing? And they don't really know if they're going to last more than one. Because I think at this point for me, it's, do I want to spend the time going through committing to both of these shows or committing to one or the other? And, I just don't know. I hope they're prepared to write or to create these shows and have them hook me and grab me and pull me in, rather than like I think a lot of what we've seen recently in streaming shows where it's like it's almost this, well, there's several episodes of setup and then the last two are the action scenes or anything like that. I'm just getting so tired of that model in some ways.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't, I'm, if I had to guess, they're probably planning for more than one season with this Lord of the Ring or this Game of Thrones one. Lord of the Rings, that's a little bit more interesting because of how much money that show costs them.
Sure.
Because it was over $500 million, right? Or at least close to $500 million.
No, I think they said it is $1 billion.
Is it a full billion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
anyway,
at the end of the day, that's Bezos. He can just do whatever the fuck he wants.
Oh yeah, he can do whatever he wants. But so I do think that gets a little bit more complicated. But still, I have to imagine both of these are planning for sustained seasons to get people back in. I mean, Game of Thrones, they have other shows in development, yes, but if they can revive one main one that brings a lot of people back, I don't think they'll ever have the same audience they did for that first season. But if they can retain 60% of it, they're still going to be making money. And I think that's kind of all they're going for. And if this can get them 60% of the original viewership, then I think that's a win for them and they'll continue making them.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. That's out, like I said, August 21st. So that's under a month away. That's really exciting. Let's get to something Blake can actually talk about and wants to talk about. It's gonna be Halloween Ends official trailer. They call it the official trailer. It's really the official teaser. It's a minute long, and you don't really see jack. So I don't know what they're talking about with this whole official trailer thing. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the sequel trilogy to Halloween. Coming out this year, October.
Halloween. Right.
Well, yeah, I guess the original Halloween plus these new
so it'd be
that's
fourth,
kind of all that exists in this universe. So fourth, and then it'll come out October 14th, just a year after Halloween Kills, which was last year, which we reviewed, of course, and felt, I think, overall a little underwhelmed and
probably should have been on the bottom of the list for the Entropy list. Thinking back on it too.
I don't know if it's that bad. I think it was the expectation.
I guess just from a from a disappointment standpoint,
for sure.
Yeah, it was. It felt like just a filler episode in an anime, but Halloween. Nothing really happened to push anything along. Nothing significant really happened other than like he killed a bunch of people, which we knew was going to happen. So. But yeah, Halloween Ends. We'll see. Hopefully, this one obviously has some more significance to it. This is out October 14th. But yeah, any rapid thoughts from the trailer?
Yeah. I guess first that kind of popped up. I was like, man, I totally forgot we're even getting this film this October. Right. That was like the first thing that popped up when I seen it on my YouTube. I was like, oh shit, this is coming out October. But after watching it, I mean, I think from what I've seen, I think I'm in. It certainly doesn't seem to be anything like Halloween Kills. There seems to be that there's probably a chance of like a Michael Myers copycat, which is kind of similar to, I think, like the fourth Halloween. If I can put that timeline in order in my head. But yeah, so I think that's going to kind of end up playing a role in there as well. So yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I'm still overall excited for it. Just me kind of being a horror guy. And I think it should definitely be better than Halloween Kills. So, I'm intrigued. We've got a copycat. It looks like we've got Laurie who's finally going to end. I think it's going to happen, right? I think he's either got to kill Laurie or Laurie's got to kill him. So,
or they kill each other.
Or they kill each other, right? Like there's got to be something. You would hope there's a conclusion to this.
Right?
So, yeah, I'm pretty excited for it, anticipating it. What about you guys?
I'm on the fence with this one, just because the last one, and you can already kind of see. He's proven himself as like an unkillable entity, and I'm just not for her being like, okay, let's do it. It's time, and like hiding around a corner. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? So I'm excited to see the story play out, but I just don't know how much more of this I can take.
Okay, I feel you.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Tyler at this point. I was so excited for Halloween Kills, and I don't remember a time where I've just been maybe just like felt all momentum for a franchise just fall
Lost.
away. Yeah,
I do. Fast and the Furious.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah. I'll buy that too.
Yikes.
I'll buy that too. But yeah, so just from that perspective, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. This trailer didn't make me feel good. I'll say that.
You said it did not, or it did?
It did not. So I hope to be wrong,
fair.
though. I hope to be wrong.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. I'm mixed on this. I liked Halloween Kills more than you guys, so I'm still kind of excited for this, but I totally understand what you guys are saying on that front.
Yeah. Kills was just a letdown from an expectation standpoint, but in terms of just like a popcorn movie, like you can certainly put that movie on. Like if you're at like a Halloween party, that's, in my opinion, that's like the Halloween movie you put on. At like the Halloween party, you just turn it on and he's just slaughtering people left and right.
Nah, I'm
You
putting
know,
on like
so-
Trick or Treat or something.
Yeah.
You got
But, I mean,
multiple
I would
little
put this
movies
on
you can
before-
essentially watch instead of watching a full movie. So you can glance and be like, oh, yo, this little 15-minute bit's going to be fucking sick. And then you'd be like, all right, cool, I'm going to drink.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
All right, let's move on to our next trailer, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Did everyone get a chance to watch this one too?
I did.
Yeah.
This is when did the original one come out? 2017.
Oh, I think it was later than
Ooh,
that.
was it that long ago?
2019,
Yeah, I wanted to
maybe.
say. I wanted to say 18. We have the internet to confirm for us, right?
We do 2019. I'm way off.
19.
Okay, that actually
Nathaniel's
seems later
One
than
point
I
for
thought.
Nathaniel.
Okay. Anyway, 2019. So it's only been 3 years. It just feels way longer than that. No.
We
It
maybe it's-
does, for sure.
We've
Maybe
lived a
maybe it's 'cause there's
lifetime.
been a lot that's
Was it
happened.
early 19?
Yeah,
I
it
think
was.
it was. I
It was
think
like-
it was very April 5th. April 5th. So first
yeah.
half. But there's
Yeah.
been a lot that's happened since April
Yeah.
5th, 2019. Like I hadn't even graduated.
Absolutely.
I hadn't even graduated high school yet. So you know,
Wow.
right. So that's why it feels
Yeah.
so long ago.
Yeah.
Is I was
You were a babe.
I was a babe. And then a year after that, I convinced you guys to start a podcast. So here we are. I don't love this trailer.
No, I think this is
But-
just another one in the bucket of I don't know, like who's asking for this movie? Like, you know, the
I
first
just-
Shazam's cool, but it's like I don't know.
I wouldn't mind a sequel to the first one because it was kind of the best, in my opinion, was the best DC movie up until that point.
Snyder Cut.
I'm just
Snyder
gonna,
Cut's after
I'm just
that,
gonna
though, right?
ignore
I know,
that.
yeah.
I'm just gonna ignore that one. So like, I
Man, you
wasn't
guys
like,
are too harsh on Snyder Cut. But go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
God damn, I'm not having this debate right now.
Yeah.
That
But
movie's
you know,
garbage.
I wasn't like opposed to a Shazam sequel, but at this point, I'm like, okay, maybe you're right. Like, who is asking for this? And I'm not still not opposed, but also this trailer didn't do anything for me. It didn't seem to have as much charm as like the first one did, which is kind of like
Mhm.
what it had going for it. Was kind of like, oh, weird and like just
Yeah.
pretty small scale. And now this seems like he's basically just Superman, and then he's got
Right.
his like friends are also have powers now, which is of course revealed in the first one, but like. Yeah.
That's like that's the final act of the first one, right?
Yes. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it looks bad, but it just like really doesn't do anything for me. So and if that's the case with everything we have superhero wise nowadays, like, do I really want to go see this when I am just done with superheroes at this point? Like, I don't know.
No.
I
think
just-
you'd be a fool to do that.
I just don't care for this format anymore, where you like get the superhero in the first one, it's like they're kind of coming out story, and then you know you gotta fight your main bad guy, and then the second one comes along, it's like I'm struggling to find out who I am and what my powers are, and then like
Right?
I don't really
Yeah.
know what to do. Like I don't care for that format anymore. I'm over it. It happens in every single Spider-Man movie.
Iron Man
it-
2.
Yeah, but more or less Iron Man 3. Yeah, I don't care for him having that story arc, and then the Fast and the Furious reference. I wanted to slap somebody. He's like, "It's about family," and I'm like, "I'll kill everything you love."
I don't know. I'm intrigued by this overall. I would say I really like the first Shazam. I think lives in this weird little pocket of the DC universe that no one really talks about, and to me that's interesting. They got the same director back, David F. Sandberg, who comes from a horror background, which I like. But yeah, and I like Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren too. So hopefully they do some cool stuff. But yeah, I that doesn't mean I disagree with anyone's kind of takes or opinions on this one. I just think out of everything that the DC could do with this stuff, I'm hoping they like allow them to be a little bit more risky with this one, since no one really does seem to be talking about it or anything, and they can maybe do some interesting things here, even if that's just doing like the best version, like an actually good Superman movie. Like, if they just want to do, like, a good, like, family-friendly, like, decent Superman movie and call it Shazam, that's fine with me. You know, I wouldn't hate that either, too. So, we'll see.
Yeah, the other thing, I don't know who the supporting cast is, really, which is a good thing, I think, in some respects. But also, I don't think DC has been... It's not that they've been bad with their casting, but, like, Marvel's great with their casting.
Right.
Like, they are fantastic. And so I never have to question them. Whereas with DC, it's not like they stand out doing that super well. And so they are just adding 6 new characters to this, kind of cast with the adult versions of the kids.
Family.
Yeah. So I am a little skeptical on that front as well. They're not like names I really recognize or anyone I recognized right away by watching the trailer, so that makes me slightly nervous. But
I mean, yeah, by that same
fine.
token, like, I guess you would say, you didn't recognize anyone in the Black Panther trailer either, too, except for people that were in Black Panther 1, which I guess is your point with saying that Marvel cast them well. But I don't know. I think like after the with the reveal of the first film being that the family also does have powers. And, like, the casting there, I wouldn't be surprised if they've swapped out some of the people from the cast there, too, or anything like that.
Seems like they might have.
So, yeah.
I don't know how much.
I wouldn't be surprised if this one does deal with more of that and kind of, makes that a plot point even. But,
yeah.
Anyways, we've talked about this too long for as much shit as we're going to be talking about, so let's move on.
I agree. Last thing we have quickly is John Wick, Chapter 4. Save the best for last, baby. This is coming out. They have a release date. Isn't it March something?
Sure. We'll go with that.
March 24th, 2023. I am very excited.
I'm sure. You're a huge John Wick guy, right?
I'm excited too. It's they're pretty consistent with their action and everything like that. I'm just I think I'll be more excited at the fact that it's coming to an end.
Is it?
I like seeing
they have a
how...
4th. Or that's right. They have a 5th as well.
No.
I thought the 4th was the end.
No, they have a 5th as well.
Well, now I'm not excited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That almost like makes this film even worse to me, because I mean, I can't just continue to shit on movies that are being made for the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th time. You know what I mean? Then like award John Wick for it, and it's just one of those things like, why do we even need 5 John Wick movies? Like, you know what I mean? I guess
rad.
They are cool. Yeah, I agree for sure. They are cool movies, but it's just like, why do we need 5 of these things?
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Will it be good? Sure. Will it be entertaining? Absolutely. Will you see awesome fight choreography and things of that nature? 100%. You know what I mean? Will you walk out, leave the theater, spending your 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever? Yeah. And be like, is this
I will. Yeah,
sure,
will,
sure.
Blake. Yeah.
I think I will too, to be honest with you. But it's just
exactly.
like, as we get on here and advocate, man, like, just give us like more original content.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's all we need.
I'm franchised out at this point.
Give us another John Wick's. That's not John Wick, if that makes sense. Just an assassin movie, right?
Yeah.
Just give us somebody else, man.
I agree. Like, I'm franchised out at this point, and like, again, tying into what we're with Nope this week, and even Back to the Future last week, bit of sizzle.
Next week,
whatever. yeah, again, just original ideas. Like I don't want to see the fourth John Wick. I want to see the fourth iteration of what these directors could be doing at this point. You know,
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm with Nathaniel. Definitely.
Yeah,
Well said.
show me something different, please. Stop.
I don't disagree.
I'd
but I
also think it's funny that
love John Wick.
the third one was John Wick 3 Parabellum, and now they're back to like, well, we're just calling it John Wick 4 at this point. Screw the subtitle. Like,
Who cares?
Yeah.
I think the second one was just John Wick 2.
right, I know.
I think
There's
so.
they Fast and the
That's
Furious
the
did-
franchise. Oh man, they're like that could be like a little different show.
That's my documentary about Fast and
Yeah.
Furious.
I don't know. This trailer even does like a lot for me. Like I was excited for this movie,
Look.
and then I see this trailer, and I'm like even more excited.
I'm-
It looks cool, man.
Right?
I agree for sure.
I'm in for a Donnie and John Wick,
Yeah.
gun katana battle. That looks fucking awesome. But
Right?
Yeah.
also at the same time,
I think-
this is no longer a universe that has any sense of reality at all. Where the first one was like, this guy could be a thing. They're like, this is the
Yes.
subculture
Yeah.
of crime that just exists beyond the real
For
world.
sure. For
where
sure.
everyone
The first
pays with
one's
a gold
awesome.
coin.
They kill the wrong guy's dog, and he's fucking upset.
Yeah.
Awesome movie. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And then now we have the
Yeah.
fifth movie of the same guy, which
Right.
like, I can't comprehend
I
that
want
part.
to hear
But-
about the guy where they broke the wrong plumber's toilet and now he's like hunting them down one by one.
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know,
Name
like
of that movie. It's called Nobody
fine. Like, but
with Bob Odenkirk.
I'm just saying, yeah. I don't need the fourth version of this.
Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nathaniel.
No, I think we're both right. I think I can be excited for this, and it looks
You
really
can,
good,
absolutely.
But also,
No, I agree with you.
I agree with you guys as well, where it's like, imagine what this director could be doing if, or
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves could be doing if this was just another new franchise and we get introduced to
Right.
something even more fun. That being said, I'm gonna absolutely watch this. Like,
So
and,
will I.
and go see it. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
don't get confused. This will definitely. I
yeah.
will watch this movie and be like, "Wow!"
Ooh, I'm
know?
so excited.
But
Oh man, we have to get the other ones on here, at least the first one on here before.
I
that.
agree with that.
Like
agree with
without a doubt, at least I would love to get all three on here, but at least the first one.
I'd agree with
because
that for
the first
sure.
one's fantastic. All right, that's it for trailer talk. I'm going to somewhat make the executive decision.
through the news stream, and I say we just like fly through.
I
it.
was-
Either
I'm-
that or
I'm
do it really
thinking-
short. What we're watching.
I'm
It's gotta
thinking
be
I
one or the
can
other.
move. Well, I'll fly through the news streaming because it's very short. But then what we're watching, I think we just, if we're gonna record another episode after this for Back to the Future, we just push that to that episode. We just kind of balance out the times here. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Works for me.
Cool. So new streaming list for July 17th through the 30th, since we missed last week. Coming to Netflix is some new seasons of One Piece. So Ty, if you haven't already had a place to watch it, you got another one. And then Whitney Cummings has a new special called Jokes. That is also coming to Netflix. Amazon Prime and Hulu aren't getting anything in the past couple weeks. HBO Max has a new original documentary called We Met in Virtual Reality, which sounds interesting, and I feel like is going to be one of those things that ages poorly as virtual reality becomes a bigger and bigger thing, and it's very common to meet new people in virtual reality. But I saw that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then they're getting Superman and Lois season 2 premiere, which I heard, if you're a Superman fan, is a pretty good show. Disney Plus is getting the Moana and Little Mermaid sing-along editions, which is cool because those were always fun when I was a kid, throwing on the sing-alongs, you know. So those are coming to Disney Plus, and then they're getting Cannibal Sharks. The description
What?
reads, featuring two of the world's leading shark experts to unpack and analyze the mounting evidence that shark-on-shark attacks happen a lot more than we ever realized. So that's pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
somehow it's High School Musical, the series, season 3 is starting.
Well, you know what
That
I'll
was
be tuning in
something.
for.
Someone's watching that show because I thought it
I
was
didn't
just
even
a
know they had a
joke.
series of that.
Well, that was one of the things that they launched Disney Plus with. Was the first season of that show,
I remember.
and everyone was and I heard people being like, "Oh, it's actually pretty good," and I was like, "I still don't want to watch it." And here we are, it's season 3, so it must be people are watching it, I guess. So if you are one of those people or want to be one of those people, you now have season 3 coming. I think that's weekly. So,
Yep.
all right,
Cool.
let's get into the main review then, guys, because we're gonna go ahead. I don't think we said this at the top of the show. Last week we were supposed to do Back to the Future. Couldn't do that. This week is nope. We want to do that since it's timely. Next week, my schedule's tentative since I'm flying back from DC and gonna be busy. So we figured we'd record Back to the Future after this one, and then that will be next week's episode.
What an appropriate movie.
Right? So that being said, nope. Welcome to the main review segment here at Back Row Banter. Nathaniel, the listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten. Can you give them a rundown of how the review segment works?
What up, folks? If you are new, or perhaps you've just forgotten, the way the main review segment works here at Back Row Banter is it is split into two different sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie's IMDb page, who's in it, who wrote it, who directed it, all of that good stuff. Go over the summary for you, and then we will actually go around the squadron and have to recommend this movie, yes or no. There is no, has to be yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And go over our initial thoughts and everything with it. From then on, it will be spoiler time. I'll play the spoiler noise. And we'll go into any big twists, plots, spoilers, any of the big deep thoughts we have about the movie itself. But even if you don't want to have it spoiled for you, do come back and check out the end of the episode where we will rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast so far. Ranked. With that being said, Adam, tell me about Nope.
I would love to if I had the IMDb page pulled up like I should have had originally. Yeah, we're slacking. All right, this is Nope. It's a brand new movie, film number 3 from a little filmmaker named Jordan Peele. You might have heard of him. Might have seen a couple of his movies. They include the Nope, Us, and Get Out. And I was talking about this after getting out of the theater. He is like in just 2 films, honestly almost just 1 film, but in 2 films he like jumped from like, oh, he's a comedy guy doing a horror film, that's weird, to, oh, Jordan Peele's new movie is coming out, like we got to go see it.
Yeah, it's a blockbuster. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's very impressive that he's jumped that quickly into kind of directing fandom and directing status in just 2 movies. Like that's a very hard thing to do, but he's done it. This is rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 10 minutes and an IMDb rating of 7.6 out of 10. The cast includes, directed by Jordan Peele, written by Jordan Peele. The cast includes, I gotta find the cast now. Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, Brendan Perea, Michael Wincott, Stephen Yeun, Ren Schmidt, and Keith David. I think I'm gonna end it there. There's not much.
Yeah, I would say that's about all we got.
Yeah, I think so as well. So, the IMDb summary reads as follows. The residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery. Oh, that sucks. That says nothing about this movie. That's so disappointing. That's so stupid. So to fill in the blanks,
would you like the official Universal Pictures summary, which is also on the IMDb page as well?
Yes.
It's hidden. Okay.
Please.
After random objects falling from the sky result in the death of their father, ranch-owning siblings OJ and Emerald Haywood attempt to capture video evidence of an unidentified flying object with the help of tech salesman Angel Torres and documentarian Antlers Holst.
Love it.
You give too much away now.
Too much. Yeah, that's a little too much.
Fair enough.
Way too much away. But it's okay. At least it gives more than the other one. But if you've seen a trailer, you kind of get the gist. And even that isn't fully saying what's happening.
No, it's not.
Of course. Not. So, there's still things to be discovered here. Let's get into it, guys. Non-spoiler thoughts. What are our thoughts here? I'm gonna kick it over to a man named Humble Brag Master's Degree guy, because this is definitely a movie that I think requires some kind of master's degree to like fully comprehend, if I'm not mistaken.
I was
Talk to the people, Nathaniel.
I was 45 seconds into this movie when I just saw Michael Wincott's name come up on screen, and I went, "Oh, I fucking love this movie."
Okay. Well,
I also was seeing those credits kind of scroll by, and I was like, oh wait, this cast is actually rolling deep.
Yeah, I love Michael Wincott, one of the great character actors ever out there, in my opinion. You will know him anytime you see him by his voice. It's probably one of the most distinctive voices in Hollywood, I would say, overall. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I liked the aesthetic of it overall. I'm a sucker for anything kind of set in the desert, I think, sometimes too. That just goes to the nostalgia in me. I really liked all the performances in this. I thought the overall UFO design and storyline was really interesting. Yeah, I just had a good time with this. I think I've seen some people saying it's kind of Jordan Peele's most accessible of his films. I do think that is correct. I also think it's his one that, if you are trying to pay attention for his kind of message behind it, maybe the most not hard to understand, but like it's just kind of out there or a little bit more. It's a little bit
Visible,
more. Say that again. Sorry, I got cut off.
Visible.
Yeah, and that way, but like almost in that, like if you could miss the forest for the trees if you went looking too deep into it, I guess.
Yeah.
As well too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a really good time with this. I don't know where it's going to end up ranking on my Peel list, nor for the Entropy list so far. I don't know if it was anything world shattering for me, or like anything like holy crap, I would be going out and telling all my friends to go see this. But in kind of reference to what I've been teasing the whole time, I have to admit I was so happy going into this movie and just not knowing anything about it, not having these kind of preconceived notions of what I was going to see or what was going to be there, and just being able to know that I was in the hands of a director who was going to show me something new or something, with distinct visual style or storytelling, So
for sure,
in that respect, I was very, very happy.
Definitely.
I'm going to kick it over to Tyler, who, coming out of his COVID fever, went and saw this movie. And how was it?
I liked it a lot, man. Visually, this movie is ridiculously beautiful. Some of the shots that are just held, and just the vastness of the overall setting, even though it's still relatively small, they still give you a really good scale of things, which is really cool. I do have a couple of different gripes, but overall, really good acting on everybody's part. I really do thoroughly enjoy the storyline, and the fact that this is kind of something that only that family can kind of handle, which is pretty cool. Yeah, man, I'm a big fan. I'm definitely a recommend, and we can definitely get into some more things, but yeah, overall, I got a good vibe for this movie for sure, and I'll definitely watch it again for sure. Blake, what'd you think?
Yeah, I'm with the majority on this one. Certainly, I like the film, right? Let's cut to it. I like the film, but that's as expected. I went into this film relatively blind, right? Similar to Nathaniel, I knew I was going blind and I would be taken care of. And that's exactly what happened. And just knowing Jordan Peele, there's always some sort of kind of twist and turn that you're going to, okay, you're walking in, okay, I know there's aliens involved, but what, right? That was kind of everybody's but. Like, there's aliens involved, but what? And then you end up watching the film, and I'm like, okay, I'm satisfied with that, So, yeah, overall, I liked it. It looked awesome. The cast is great. I love Daniel Kaluuya. Keke Palmer's beyond awesome in this movie. Yeah,
is she making the Blake list?
Yeah, she's up there. I don't know if she passes Zazie Beetz though. I don't know if she passes Zazie Beetz, but it's close. I think if she gets in another horror movie or just like a show I genuinely love, then I think I can give her the pass.
This year, Back Row Banter
But,
is going to be giving you a whiteboard with like a label maker for the Blake list.
Yeah.
We'll just keep
So,
rotating it like a draft board, basically. Of
Yeah,
who's there.
yeah. Moving rankings. So yeah. Overall, awesome movie as expected. So it's one I would recommend to most people. To Nathaniel's point, in my Jordan Peele's rankings, I mean, I have an idea of where I'm putting it, and that doesn't shame this movie by any means. I think he just makes very, very good films. So that's my 2 cents. Adam?
I will guess start off by saying for my Peele rankings, this is below Get Out, above Us. That's kind of immediately where I came out of this film with.
Okay.
And
Understandable.
that means this film's very good in my opinion. I loved it pretty much throughout. Like I kind of went in and I had seen the first 2 trailers and the second one unwillingly saw in the Jurassic Park screening where it showed too much,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, I'm looking away and never looking back. Like I'm never
Yeah.
looking at another trailer for this. I've seen too much.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So
And
yeah,
so let me ask you this though. In hindsight, though, sorry to cut you off. Do you
Oh, you're
think
fine.
that trailer showed too much though?
no, because obviously it's like you said, okay, there's alien involves, but
Mhm.
and there's a but. So
Right.
you know, in retrospect, no, it didn't show too much, but like imagine I didn't even know. Imagine there was 2 butts. You know,
Sure.
like imagine
Yeah,
I didn't even know on
right.
top of that what was going on.
2 butts.
So,
Hold on
2
here.
butts. Hold on. So, you know, I feel like that could have done it even better, and that's why it's still kind of unfortunate for me that that's how they ended up showing that in the trailer.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I'm with you.
it is what it is. So that being said, he kind of going into still relatively blind and just kind of knowing it's Peele, it's Kaluuya, it's Keke Palmer, it's Stephen Yeun, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's see it. And I had seen only like one sentence of kind of about what this film was trying to say on Twitter, and I kind of like glimpsed at it and was like, oh, okay, I can see how that's kind of like what he's doing, and then like moved on with my day and didn't think anything of it. So like going into it, I was like had that thought in the back of my mind of like what I was kind of looking for, and like just having that throughout the movie, I was like, oh my god, like just from the beginning, I could tell like what he was trying to say, and just reading it as it's playing out, kind of like reading the film as it's playing out was really fun to see, especially since this is, my first Peele film or new Peele film, I guess, since taking all these film courses that I've had, and seeing all the craftsmanship that he does put into that kind of stuff. Because I've rewatched the other ones since then, or at least Get Out. I haven't fully rewatched Us, and like I can see that now going back and looking at it. But this is my first time where I was watching this and was able to read it in real time, which I was very happy to be able to do. And then move on to something that Nathaniel said, which was this is like his most
Super sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. It's his most palatable film, in my opinion, by far.
See, you say that, and I would almost agree with you, except I saw it with my 4 friends who aren't film buffs and, have seen his other, some of them had seen his other films, some of them had, or 1 or 2 of them haven't. And so like they came out and like none of them were blown away, and they were all kind of confused. Like they didn't understand really what was going on. It's in like a grand, scheme of things. Because like obviously the story within the film is wrapped up, and you get everything that happens. But they were pretty confused as to like why everything happened. And I, as someone who could, see what he was doing, was a little bit more into it because of that. But I don't know if this is his most appealing film. I feel like Get Out still might be, or maybe even Us, because I feel like this honestly might be his least open film in some ways.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that's just my experience because I came out of that theater and had to explain kind of what was going on to them.
Yeah.
At least explain what I perceived was going on to them.
Sure.
So I don't know. Maybe that was just different for me.
They definitely weren't
Go
French.
ahead, Ty. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that the hard thing about this movie is it's going to get somewhat miscategorized because I would almost not look at this as like a horror movie.
It's not.
If-
it
if
really
I-
it really
it-
isn't.
It has some really good horror aspects to it, and I think at some point throughout the movie it does kind of flip, but I don't think that takes away from what they were trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that's why it would be his most palatable movie. Where I feel like
Okay.
Get Out and Us are just much more horror. Us is like a slasher.
Sure. In that
right?
regard,
you like really break it down, which may not be for everybody. And then Get Out, it is. I think most people would probably say that is his best movie, but that just has a lot of racial, not even undertones because they're very abrupt and in your face.
Overtones.
Racial themes that, overtones, I guess, that maybe a lot of people may not want to see. You know what I mean? Especially a lot of people who maybe aren't a film buff and they're not a minority, right? That may not be their cup of tea. So, but nonetheless, I understand your point, seeing it with a handful of people who are kind of like, hey, what's the movie really saying to me, right? I
Yeah.
understand that point.
In the sense of horror and like being open, like people wanting to watch horror or not, yes, this is definitely the least horror of his films and the one that the most people could see, for sure. But as far as like getting meaning out of and people kind of enjoying, I don't know, because I think I enjoyed it so much because I understood as I was watching what was going on, what he was trying to say with the structure of the film, and reading to that was very fun for me. And like I said, I was able to do that in real time, and I was feeling good about the fact that I could do that, and so I ended up enjoying it a lot because of that kind of stuff. And they kind of just walked out of the theater like, what did we just watch? Almost like they were just kind of confused. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe some people, I think they just understood that they were missing something, and that's what confused them. And I think some people might just kind of watch this and see it for what it is and like not really read into it, or maybe not understand that they're missing something.
Yeah,
but,
well, and I guess in that sense too, I think that also plays into the movie's style, in that like in a lot of areas it is a movie with a very small cast set in a very big space too. So there's kind of like a little bit of inherent, I think, kind of isolation elements too, and kind of
for sure.
It's designed to make you like a little bit uncomfortable as well too. So I think you could be responding to that in some ways as well. Or just like, I guess my point being that I wouldn't chalk up people's kind of uncomfortable reactions or not quite feeling like they got it to the film's shortcomings. I think some of that is by design too.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, so just so we can, this is one of those movies where it's like hard. It's really hard to like, chat. You got to tiptoe around without getting into spoilers.
Yes.
So like, do we got 4 recommends? That's certainly what it sounds like. Right?
I think we have 4 recommends.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, cool.
Cool.
We're on the same page here. That's a recommend all around from the Back Row Squadron. So if you we're going to head on into spoilers. So if you've not seen Nope and do not want it spoiled for you, and it's one of those movies you definitely don't want spoiled for you. So go ahead and check the episode description. I've left a timestamp you can jump to where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon the Entropy list.
Up upon.
All right, spoiler time. Shit
goes down. There's a monkey attack.
There's a monkey attack.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that was one of the things that kind of threw me for a loop in the beginning, because right before that they do the monkey paw production.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then it goes into that, and then it shows that little bit of that scene, and then it goes into the rest of the movie. So at first I was kind of like,
for sure. You're like,
is that part of the movie? Is that part of the movie, or is that part of the monkey paw production?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe they're just like letting. I mean, like that's cool if they're letting them do that big of a thing in the beginning of movies, just to showcase like what they're able to do. But I was like, I don't know. And then obviously you get further into the story, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they made that part of that, because I actually was like thoroughly interested in what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. No, I could see that for sure.
So I wish there was maybe some kind of title screen before. I don't know how to fix that. Maybe it's just movie starts.
Right.
Yeah. No. Movie starts.
Well, you do the old school
I
countdown with the flickering 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at the beginning of it.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I agree with you. It was kind of an awkward start just because they, at least in the theater, I went and saw it at the Alamo. Had a whole experience last night I was not happy about. But anyway, that's besides the point. Anyway, they dimmed the lights and then they played the Oppenheimer teaser.
Yeah, we got that
for
too.
Nolan.
Which we didn't mention, but holy shit. I'm excited for that.
Looks awesome.
And, yeah, it looks sick. So they dimmed the lights for that, and then they did another Universal title screen, and then went into the movie. But like, I think a lot of people thought that was another trailer because they just showed the trailer for another thing, and then they thought they were showing another trailer. Because my friends like kept talking into the beginning of that scene, and I was like, guys, this is the actual movie. Like,
Shut
guys,
up.
Like, yeah, like shut up. But yeah, so I think I don't know, it just wasn't clear exactly, and then even I was like for a second like, is this part of the movie? But then I figured it definitely was. So yeah, I don't know, definitely an awkward way to start. I think really what threw me off personally was just the Oppenheimer trailer, because I think you dim the lights right before the movie starts, and then they threw that teaser in there, which I think is mainly Universal trying to bank off the fact that they've secured a Nolan film since he's been doing all of them with the Warner Brothers, and now it's under Universal. They're obviously going to want to bank that as much as they can, because it doesn't come out for another year, and I'm sure the footage we saw is the only footage they have. So, anyway. Yeah, where else do we want to go with this? I don't know. There's a lot of places.
A lot of places. I mean,
so what do you think happens?
I guess somebody just let it rip, right? So I don't know who wants to be the person to spill the beans. I think that's the easiest hurdle to get over. Then we can pretty much chat about anything.
What beans are you trying to spill? What specifically?
So what do they? They don't call it UFO. Is it a
UHP?
UAP.
UAP, right? So the UAP is not.
It's not a ship.
I was gonna say UAP is not a UFO. That doesn't make sense, right?
It's not a
ship.
ship.
So the ship isn't being controlled by aliens, right? The ship is the alien, right? Yes. So like that's the twist.
That's the butt.
Yeah, which in my opinion, I was like, okay. Once I was like kind of started to see it coming along, I was like, okay, I think I can get behind this, because that was just something else, new ideas, new content. And I was like, I've never seen some shit like that before, because you're trying to figure out like, okay, what are the aliens going to look like? You have this small scare in the farm, right, with the kids who are dressed in the costumes. The cameras for the Gertie show as well looks like those alien heads as well. That's just kind of like a funny coincidence I saw. But yeah, so at first you're kind of like, okay, I wonder what the aliens are going to look like, and then you figure out, well, oh my god, that thing is the alien, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that was a pretty cool just kind of twist that I haven't seen, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen that before, and I think that alone was like, okay, I think we're in good hands of this one, No,
that was a good reveal for sure.
Yeah, I definitely didn't mind that aspect. I will say, from the time where he goes out into the barn and he does have the scare from the kids, where they're like peeking around the corner and everything like that. Nathaniel, if you're trying to comment on things, you are muted.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I saw you like kind of leaning, but I didn't hear anything. I got a lot from that scene with the kids, peeking around corners and making noises and stuff like that. And it kind of took me back to Signs, and I was like, shit, dude, I haven't had an alien scare like this for a long time, and I'm like, dude, I'm fucking in. So I do think it takes away a little bit of it, but it's definitely it's still a really cool concept. I still really like the fact that, like I said, this is like kind of like one of the only families that could handle this, or obviously there's plenty of other farm families out there, but it's just cool that they obviously made it. The Haywoods, and he obviously knows how to tame animals and how to distract them and stuff like that. So it's cool that the ship is kind of like a raging bull, in a sense that they're almost trying to tame at the same time. But I do think it takes a little bit away from the scare, because after I figured out that it was the ship and not like an actual humanoid-esque alien, it did kind of take away a little bit of the scare factor. Or I guess maybe not a scare factor, but like I guess a menacing factor, because I mean, I guess if a ship was chasing me, I'd probably still shit my pants. But It's just it's a little it's a
Yeah.
little more menacing to me in my mind if I have something that actually has a face that I have to look into and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I agree and I don't. Like I really did enjoy the reveal as well.
Yeah.
I think Peele like went for a couple shots in this that he didn't quite nail, particularly when he was like looking up to the sky and trying to create that kind of sense of dread of not knowing where the ship was. And I found the scale on the ship a little bit inconsistent in that aspect.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think when you do nail the scale of that, it does become very frightening. And it's that, holy shit, how am I going to get out of this thing that is, so much bigger than me?
Right.
And
Right.
like there's the bit where it hovers over the house and it drops all of the blood on them, and like that's
Great
rolling
shot,
down
by
the
the way. I
windows,
love
and
that.
I like turned to
that
Waz in the theater, and I just like chef's kissed. I was like,
Yeah.
cinema, like
Yeah.
I know. I like was grinning and shaking my head at that. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And the other one that like blew me away was when he wakes up the next morning and gets out of the truck. And it's like foggy and shit
Sure.
outside.
Yeah.
That one blew me away. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, like that is gorgeous.
Yeah, and so I think it just doesn't quite nail those in some of the other areas, and maybe that's where
Yeah.
it kind of takes you out a little bit. You know me, like I was watching this and I was just like, someone's done an Evangelion monster in like an actual size or in a live action movie kind of thing. In terms of just kind of like something that size being a ship and a creature or anything like that. And it especially so
That
in
is
kind of its
interesting.
final form as well too.
I didn't think about that, but I like that.
Yeah, so I just there are a lot of influences in this that I think you can see. There's a lot of care obviously that went into it. The subplot of the Stephen Yeun character with the chimpanzee rampage and him
Gordy.
him selling him purchasing the horses to feed the monsters, just it's wild stuff, but you just watch it, you go, yeah, it works, and like you just totally buy it, and that joy of just like having those outlandish ideas presented in a way that as a story, as the receiver of the story, I just am totally on board with that, is just feels like such a rare feeling now these days, and I just I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Did you like the final design of the ship alien?
Yeah,
Let's call it an alien.
I when it first came up, I was like, oh, it looks like a card for a megapixel card for a camera. And like especially with that first
No,
kind of shot,
I thought the same thing.
when they had that up there and it had kind of like the folds coming out from it from the sides and
Yeah.
everything, and then like obviously I thought that get kind of tied in with the other cameras that
does.
are around there, and
For sure.
Yoon
Yeah.
talking about like calling it an observer, or I think that's what he called them,
The
or like
viewers,
the
I
viewers,
believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like their immediate reaction being like, okay, yeah, we're viewing against them and they're viewing us, and by viewing something you inherently change it. You can get into all those other the themes in there. But yeah, I thought the overall design was really cool in the end, and I liked it. I thought there could have been some other shots in there that maybe solidified the scale and made you really feel that a little bit more, especially towards the end. But overall, yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that. The shot where the ship, or the shot where the alien, I think as Tyler says, probably what we should be saying. The shot where the alien is over the house and just kind of like raining down blood and all the things that are not digestible. Is awesome because you get the view from the two people in the house, which I believe it's M and what's the other guy's name?
Angel.
Thank you. You get the shot where
Shout out
M and
Angel.
Angel are in there, and you kind of see. Shout out Angel. You kind of see from their perspective, like, what the fuck's going on? And like they're kind of like slowly trying to they're like, I think I understand what's going on,
Right.
you know? And then the person outside of it is going to be OJ, who's in the car, and he's looking at it, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? It's like one of those. Yeah, it's really good because you're like watching it because at that shot it's raining outside. So you're like looking through like the waterfall that's coming off the ship and then seeing the house as well. Yeah, great shot.
There's a specific moment I love that you get often in horror films. It's one of my favorite just moments that pops up again and again in movies, and that's just when one character comments on just how insane their own situation has become. And like you just, it's like you see it a lot in horror movies. Like my favorite example is in The Thing when one of the characters like a creature comes out of their body and like sprouts it out of their head and walks away, and one of the guys just goes, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" And it's just it's like such.
Right. It's like that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
You know what
I just love that moment for characters, especially in horror, and like that is you get a couple of really good ones in this one as well too. But yeah, can continue with your own thoughts on it as well too. There is a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean that I was kind of pleasantly surprised to on first view you're watching it and you're like, okay, like I see it's like sucking things up. You're like, what happens? Because at that point you're like, is the ship an alien? Are there things in there? Like what's going on, right? And then you do get the shot. I mean, it's maybe 30 seconds where it's like the really claustrophobic shot where you see the people getting sucked up.
Yeah.
And I thought that was perfect. And I think that's all we needed to see, right? Like, I don't need to see what happens after that. Just leave it all up to imagination. And I think Jordan Peele is awesome at that, to give us the 25, 30-second shot, the people screaming. Anytime the ship comes down low,
hear them screaming
over, you can still hear the people alive. Yeah,
so good,
so
awesome.
Well done.
Yeah, awesome. When did you guys put it together that the ship was an alien, quote unquote?
Not until they revealed it, honestly.
Yeah.
He mentions like he doesn't move. I think one of the lines he's like, it doesn't move like a ship or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like he they kind of give it to you. I wasn't like guessing it wasn't an alien until then. But then once he said that, I was like, oh, okay, I see where they're going with this.
I think I'm with you too.
Yeah.
But once they said it, I was able to tie it back to the monkey in Hollywood, because I mean that's like tie back once you look back to the monkey show or the Gordy show, and just exploitation of like animals and shit like that. Like that's what this movie's really about, right? I think at the core, at least that's the message I'm getting. So yeah, like once they're like, oh, like the ship's an apex predator. That's when it hit me as like, okay, I understand everything we're doing here, and I think it hit well. It hit at the right time, because you don't find that out till there's still probably I bet there's probably another 40 minutes left in the film, right? Once they figure it out.
I agree.
Yeah, maybe close to an hour. So.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
it's.
I was with you, like figuring it out along with the characters as well too, and kind of going back to your original question on there as well. And yeah, I think the themes of exploitation and being willing to exploit your own trauma for profit as well too, and just kind of how easily we kind of use that as a go-to is probably kind of part of that as well too. But
I took away, if we want to go into this, I took away a very different meaning. I wouldn't say very, but I definitely a different meaning, because I think what I like about this movie a lot is that there's a lot to take away, or a lot you could take away in different ways. Because I saw this.
What were your thoughts?
I saw this as a very stark attack on like visual effects versus practical effects, and like the direction Hollywood's going with that. Kind of it starts out, I kind of got that vibe. It starts out when they replace like the actual horse on set with just the CGI horse.
Sure.
And
right.
Going off of that, and then the Mr. Haywood, their dad dies from a nickel, like money. And like that's what kills him, and then eventually the business. And it just there was a lot of themes kind of going along where it's just like Hollywood studios always looking for ways, or have started looking for ways to get around the practical effects that come with using real animals and using practical explosions or practical sets and all this different stuff. Like they're so difficult to pull off, and on top of that, they're so expensive that it ends up just becoming easier to use CGI and use computers. Exactly. And from what I was kind of understanding is like the alien. I like the contrast of using, it's a sci-fi horror, if you want to say horror, but it's sci-fi with the aliens, but also heavy country and Western themes. And so I kind of caught that contrast where you have all these you have this, the Westerns, which is what started Hollywood in a lot of respects, where you had the Westerns for almost 2 decades was your blockbusters, and then sci-fi comes along, and that's kind of what pushed the need for things that were no longer practical, because it was very hard to do practical science fiction, and that's what pushed CGI, which then bled into the rest of Hollywood. And so I thought that was a very interesting contradiction or contrast where it's a sci-fi movie with there's so much Western and the Western setting, and even the theme park is Western themed and all that, and you have the horses, all that kind of stuff. And even down to the there's the cinematographer who is trying to kind of retain that classic cinema I don't even know, classic cinema heart, if you will, or sentiment, where he's got the camera that is all film that he built himself, and his life goal is to get the impossible shot.
An IMAX camera that's somehow hand crank. Did you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Which that goes with one of the best slides in the movie too, where he comes and then Kiki Palmer is like, "Didn't I tell you this motherfucker was gonna come with a non-electrical camera?" Yeah,
and then they just dap up.
Hilarious line.
God, dude, I died. Everyone in my theater died laughing.
Yeah, for sure.
It was so good. But yeah, and then he goes as far as to sacrifice himself for a shot of him getting digested by this alien, and I really thought they were gonna do a shot of the camera falling back out, and so they could recover the film or something like that.
Well, when
there was
Angel's
something that
rolling down after he wraps himself in the barbed wire.
Yeah,
so
I did see a camera.
So the predator can't swallow him. Yeah, there is a camera roll that ends up rolling next to him.
I think I want to assume that's his camera, but I
that.
don't know if it's the one from on top of the hill.
It could be, and then even if not, you also have to assume that obviously the predator pretty much vomits or shits out, whatever you want to say, regurgitates anything that's not edible. So,
okay,
I guess theoretically, right, that footage is going to come back.
Theoretically, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the message I took away from it, and I feel like that's definitely not all that's there, because
for sure
it's harder to, once you get into the whole thing with Gordy and the monkey, I'm kind of maybe that does play into the whole practical effects are a hard thing, but I think that also plays into other themes because I don't think it's just one thing. This movie has so much going on that I don't think you can pull just one thing from it. That was just the biggest thing I took away from it, and as I was watching was kind of looking for, and definitely found. I think there's a lot there, and it's just interesting to me coming out of that where my friends didn't get that. I was like, oh, okay. So I explained that to them, but then they were even asking me further questions that made me question that or look at other things differently. And so I think that's another reason I really enjoy this film is it doesn't answer any one thing for you. It doesn't leave the story itself open-ended, but it is an open-ended movie, if that makes sense.
It's not a didactic film, and by that I mean it's not a film that tells you what to think of it by the end. It tells you its story, but it doesn't over-explain itself.
Yes.
That's ambiguity done correctly, as opposed to just ending on a green field with a weird song in the background or something.
Yeah, instead of to always repeat, right? Instead of that's the Gigantosaurus T-Rex, the largest predator largest predator to ever roam planet Earth. So. Yeah, man. I think overall it's good. I think it's gonna be. I think this will end up being his most rewatchable film.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
The
runtime's a little long. But you don't really
feel a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
felt
a little bit in the middle,
long, but just a little bit in the middle. But that's fine. That's fine.
Hey, shout out Fry's Electronics, R.I.P.
That was so fucking funny.
That was awesome.
My friend turned to me during the film and he goes, "That's you," and I was like, "God, damn."
That's the first thing I'm sure all of us felt. You know what I mean? Right? That's cool, dude. Yeah,
could you imagine? Is it easy to install? I mean, for me.
Yeah, I loved the. And one more thing, you're gonna get a call from my super 5 stars, Angels. 5 stars.
And PS, Angels. 5 stars.
Yeah, and then I was thinking about, I was like, well, they're kind of the perfect customer. I just sell them the shit, install it, and they don't want me around afterwards. So
sure. Yeah, for sure.
When they go back to his place and he got the VR headset on, I was like, oh, I feel attacked.
But Entropy List.
It was a good character. What'd you say?
Entropy List. Let's talk Entropy.
List. All right. We have nothing else to say here. Nathaniel, I didn't get any big film theory stuff from you. Do you have much to share on that front?
I think to your kind of point, I guess my thought behind it would be that it can encompass the idea of the animals as a practical effect and that kind of thing, and that it illustrates to the viewer that, yeah, the practical effects might have been better, but they were not necessarily the perhaps the most humane way of doing it, and there was a certain lack of care given to the animal performers, and that's even, I think, seen reflected in OJ at the start of it, and then carried out throughout the storyline of how they don't really know anything about the UAP, but they're just assuming that they can control it and by extension exploit it as well too. So you're almost even getting into like Jurassic Park themes in there as well too. But and then I think again you see that reflected in the fact that they do catch it on that kind of rickety camera at the Western theme park. It's not the high end camera that Antlers brought. It's not the digital cameras that Angel from Fry's Electronics set them up with. It's the literally black and white grain photograph that you get from the theme park that eventually provides them with their the shot they've been looking for, the impossible shot. So I would say that would be kind of my theory breakdown of it on that side of things. If you wanted to pull the whole practical versus digital effects conversation out into a theme. And then again, I think the other side of it is the willingness in our current society to kind of retrofit your own trauma and create it as content. Sure. And you see that reflected in like the guy that's the TMZ guy, as they call him, who breaks both arms and is still like, film me dying or whatever, Yeah, right. And even as Emerald as well too, like her immediate thought is like, no, it's not a dangerous entity or a wild animal. It's just something we need to capture on film and sell and that kind of thing. Yeah. So, and then again, you see that reflected in the Gordy thing where he doesn't even remember it or he doesn't even explain it as it really happened anymore. He just explains the repackaged SNL version of it and the events as well too and everything. So
see, everything is just a way to monetize everything, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Which I mean, unfortunately, that's where we are in today's society.
Yeah.
Right. I don't even think there's a debate about that. So I think this is the way that if something like this were to happen, those would kind of be the series of events, right? People be like, okay, well, like, which sounds crazy, right? It'd be like, fuck the safety. Right. Let's see if we can film this somehow. You know what I mean? And we'll be right. That's going to be majority of people's thought process if they were to come across something like this. So, yeah, I think that's even a theme as well. So, yeah, good points, Adam.
The last thing I said, kind of like bringing it back to my original or what I was kind of hinting at before the spoilers is like, again, I think those are the themes that are kind of there on the surface. You don't have to dig too deep for them. I've seen people on Twitter like, well, what about like the shoe and why was it standing up straight and what was the thing with all this stuff? It's like, if you don't have to dig that deep, like don't go looking for that stuff. Sometimes it's
not every time.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. It's there because it looks cool. Like
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's see where it ranks on the Entropy list.
All right. Well, welcome back, listeners, who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. Boy, it was a good one. We're going to go ahead and rank the movie up upon the Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of every movie we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it is. We throw up all the movies we review list and see how they compare to one another. Did I say that already?
I don't know.
Did I repeat myself? I don't know.
I don't believe so.
Okay. I don't know why in my head I was like, did I just loop back? I like went to go do something on my computer really quick and I was like, did I just like repeat the same thing twice? Anyway, if you want to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description, where is linked to my Letterboxd.
Tough one.
Yeah, this is actually this is really tough. It's kind
of interesting.
Yeah, after watching, I thought of taking a peek at the Entropy list to like see where I would place it, but I haven't done that for any movie. So I was like, I just need to put my raw thoughts out there when we go through it. Couldn't cheat the system, but yeah, that's how much I thought of. I was like, I wonder where I'm gonna put this because I do genuinely like it, right? But I was like, there are kind of drawbacks and everything. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
For those
I think it's gonna be
curious,
interesting.
Get Out is the only other Jordan Peele film we have on the list, and it's currently sitting at number 9.
Yeah.
Not making it
We do
that
not
high.
have Us.
Yeah, I'll say let's be clear. I don't think it's gonna go that high.
No, it's definitely not. There are quite a few movies that I like better on this list. That being said, I don't think it's super far down.
Let it rip, Adam.
Let's see. I am going to say some crazy things, but I don't know if they're that crazy. I'm gonna put it at 27, below Training Day, above The Northman.
Okay.
Thought process wise, my hard cap is at like Starship Troopers.
Okay.
It's not better than that movie because Judas and the Black Messiah. I go, oh, okay, and I kind of scroll down a little bit. I see Dunkirk. I'm like, yeah, and the other ones around there. I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy those movies. Requiem, although I won't ever probably rewatch that movie because of how harrowing it is. It's still a fantastic movie. Same thing with Kill Bill. Same thing with Training Day, where it's just like those movies are fantastic. And I go to The Northman, and I go, wow, what a movie that I had just as much hype for from a director I admire just as much as Jordan Peele, and came away not nearly as enthused as I did with Nope. And I feel like this definitely lived up to the to the expectations I had going in. It's not Get Out, but I wasn't really expecting that because I don't know if Jordan Peele will capture the lightning in a bottle he did with that one ever again, and that's fine. That being said, I still enjoyed this. Like I said, going in, I still had as much enjoyment as I wanted out of this. With the expectations I had, and The Northman definitely let me down. Because even below The Northman, Black Hawk Down, The Conjuring, very good films. And even going below that, but I do think this has enough going for it where it is up there. Like I think upon rewatching this film, you will like it more and more. I think it could be one of those. So I think I'll put it at 27 and leave it there.
Yeah, I'll go next. I think I'm going to put this at 32, above Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and below Boys in the Hood. And kind of similar to Adam, I actually started lower on the list, and I actually started with District 9 because that was just kind of the first Alien movie I saw on there. And then I kind of worked up from there with kind of The Power of the Dog and Tokyo Drift. I think this is better than that. I struggled for a bit at Top Gun Maverick just because I think that movie has kind of grown in my estimation maybe since we last watched it.
Sure.
As same with Pig too. But then I was kind of looking through up there, and then we kind of go on that superhero run of movies of Deadpool, Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, and Doctor Strange. And I just feel like, again, from a rewatchability standpoint and a auteurship, I think maybe this is just a cut above there. But then I don't think I can put this above Conjuring and Scream. And so I think Boys in the Hood for me is kind of that first cutoff zone of like just after that it's just mainly bangers for me and mainly just all-timers. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to put that at 32.
Fair. Very fair ranking, I think. Blake, Tyler?
Yeah, I was kind of listening to what you guys are saying and looking at the list myself. It's tough because we always look at this and look at there's personal movies. You're like, I would have that lower, and then you kind of got to judge things in between.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, obviously, first thing I looked at, Get Out, I was like, okay, certainly it's not as good as that film. This is probably my third Jordan Peele film, to be honest with you. I'd say Get Out, Us, and then probably a decent gap between Us and Nope. So looking here, I mean, under Get Out, right? Then my next thought process was to go to The Northman, right? Which is another film that we saw this year, but I thought was pretty good. Robert Eggers. And then I'm like, okay, but then that's higher than Scream, which now I'm like, okay, now that's really tough for me to say this is better than Scream, right? Scream is like an all-time horror movie. So then I was like, all right, I got to go below that. And then I'm looking at like Boys in the Hood, all-time classic, right? Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Kill Bill Volume 2, so on and so forth. I did see Doctor Sleep, which is one like I do feel fairly highly for, to be honest with you guys. But I think I would put Nope above this just for like the original content idea, the original idea. So I think I'm rocking at 32. So right below Boys in the Hood, above Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Right,
So
where
same
Nathaniel
spot
was.
as Nathaniel.
Yep.
All right.
I struggled a little bit because I originally saw Doctor Sleep, and I was like, well,
Yeah.
and
Good
then
movie.
and then I kind of got down to like A Quiet Place and X, and I was like, man, I really, really liked X, but then
yeah, I agree with you on that.
there's a couple of other movies, and you kind of play around with yourself as far as what your personal movies are and everything like that, but I think I am actually gonna be, man, 30.
30.
Yeah, I'm
Moving
I'm
difference a little
not
bit.
I'm not as big as a fan of Scream. I do like Scream. Obviously, it's one of those original DNA kind of horror movies, but I think The Conjuring just does something a little bit for my nervous system that is just a little more, where I was at in my age and when I saw that. So I'm gonna be at 30.
All right.
Cool.
So
Okay. So 30 is
20
that's above Scream, right, Ty?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
So we have a 30, a 27, and two 32s, giving us an average of 30.25, meaning we would tiebreak it with Scream.
Oh,
now,
no.
do we want to tiebreak or do we want to put it above or below? Because I'm fine
Stick
putting
to
it
the
below
rules,
Scream.
man. We got to stick to the rules.
We never really defined what we do because it kind of just started happening where I just average it out and we tiebreak it when it's not an even number, which is most of the time.
Yeah.
So like we could just start like deciding if we want to tie break ourselves above or below,
Yeah.
and if we can't agree, then we tie break. Like I'm open to whatever, because like
What is 7.6? What's Scream? Scream's at least a 7.2.
it's a 7.4, so Nope would go above Scream. So it kind of depends, But I'm cool putting it below. Like I can see it both ways.
It's tough. My realist wants to say let's stick to the script of what we always do, but then like my heart is telling me like we can't put this above Scream.
Yeah,
So
I could put above Scream because that's where I put it. But
yeah, fair enough.
Nathaniel, Ty, do you guys care to weigh in?
Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of just looking at the two numbers, and whoever comes out on top comes out on top.
Let's stick to the script.
All right, Nope.
Stick to the script.
Slot it in. At number 30, below The Conjuring, and above Scream. That's gonna do it here for the review segment. Let's get here we go. Next topic. Well, it's you know what, Nathaniel, you're right. It is fitting because it's like
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's very fitting. We're going back to a review we did last week / next week. Back to the Future was supposed to be last week's review, but of course had to cancel that episode. So instead, we're pushing it to next week and just subbing out the film that we had slated for next week, and then we'll do that a different week. It's one we'll get around to eventually. So yeah, we're about to go record that episode right now. So it's going to be even more Back to the Future stuff where you're going to hear us a week in the past, in the future, if you're following what I'm saying, because I don't even know if I am. So yeah, if you haven't already, we told you to watch Back to the Future for last week's review, and now you have a second chance to do so if you have not. So go find that. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere right now. It might only be available for rent. Let me see. Just watch. Sorry, Tyler, Phil.
Tyler.
COVID sucks.
Agreed. It's on Fubo or Fuba. Fubo.
For us, by us.
For us, by us.
I think we made that joke last week.
We did.
Yeah, I'm gonna continuously make that joke. You reference that after.
So you can go see it there if you don't have access to it other ways. But yeah, join us for our review of that next week. Nathaniel, 5-star review. By
No
chance.
5-star review, but if you want to hear a 5-star review
Damn it.
read out on the podcast, you just got to give us a 5-star review in app. It's very simple. Rate us 5 stars. You can be mean, you can be funny, you can be nice, you can be lovely. Just don't be evil, and you will hear it read out by one of our sultry voices here on Back Row Banter. Yeah, email us too.
Yeah, if you don't want to do the 5-star review, you can reach out via email at backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Send us any questions, comments, concerns, grievances, anything of that sort for some end of the pod banter. You can also share the podcast, share it with a friend, a family member. Let's see, maybe apex predator of sorts.
Interplanetary alien species.
Is that spoilery too much?
Not really. I don't
All
think I don't think they put that together.
That's pretty vague.
Who knows what it could be in a reference to?
Maybe it's a reference to clouds.
Could be to that shark, the new shark series that's dropping on Disney Plus.
Yeah, the cannibal ones.
Yeah.
Definitely could be a reference to that.
Which
They're
do sharks
definitely
need
apex
more bad, like, press? Should we be asking ourselves this? Sorry. Derailing at the end of the podcast.
Are you worried
here.
about shark PR right now?
I just don't think we should be spreading that they're cannibals, too, you know? Like, I think they're endangered as it is, right? Like, let the sharks be, homies. You don't even be labeling the sharks out here.
You can also follow us on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and on YouTube it's just Back Row Banter. One of these days we'll revive the Instagram, which has been inactive for well over a year now.
It could
be. But hey, hopefully you're following it, and hopefully you're following the show. And BlakeHolder, where can the people find you at, my man?
Letterboxd, BlakeHolder. I'll be in the logs. I'll probably put some thoughts down on note, but I didn't want to do that before this episode. The last time Nathaniel read my thoughts before the episode, so
Bad Nathaniel.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and I'll do it afterwards. But yeah, BlakeHolder, I'll be on there log. You can keep up with what I'm on. So that's all I've got. Let's go to Adam.
You can find me on Twitter at Aish24 and on Letterboxd at Aish. That's AYYSH. Nathaniel.
I just want to let Blake know that he's forgiven. He's allowed to post his opinions on Letterboxd. I don't want to hold him up from doing so in the future.
Okay.
But yeah, Twitter and Letterboxd, you can find me at NSGangrick or on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes, that's my other podcast. It's where you can find podcasts. Tyler, get us on out of here.
Twitch.tv/El Trabajo87, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. Come find me, come hang out, come chill.
All right, I think that's going to do it then here for episode 111. That's not often we have a triple digit.
Triple sticks.
This is the first time we've had triple sticks.
I think it's the only time you can have triple
I
six.
was like, yeah, I think that's how numbers work.
So yeah, and then I guess we'll get around to triple twos, triple stacks. I don't know.
Figure it out. We'll have a better name by then.
Yeah, well, we have 111 more episodes to figure that out. But anyway, thank you all for joining us for episode 111, review of Nope. Join us next week for our review of Back Row Banter, and
Or Back to the Future.
Back to the Banter Future.
Okay.
I feel like there's a pun we could figure that out there. I'm gonna figure that out for the next step. Anyway, thank you all for listening, especially if you made it this far. We'll BRB.
Be excellent to each other, everyone, and we will BRB.
Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate anything you can do to help us grow, because that's what we want to do. And just be good to one another and spread that love. You never know where someone's at in their journey, and we will BRB.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting as always. We continue to stay positive, continue to grow as long as you're doing at least one thing you love every day. And you're living the right way. We'll be right back.
I'm America, ready for another lesson.
All right, y'all ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Let's get her going. All right. We will go live. Oh my God, what is that?
That's a train, fellas. Or what did Nathaniel say the other when we were recording the World Engine? Forgot what episode it was. It was after you watched Man of Steel.
I was pretty. Yeah, it was a little similar.
Yeah.
Jeez,
That's funny.
they include that in the brochure. Free alarm clock.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean that thing's first train's at it's like 540 something.
Bro, I would
Every
invested in
day?
earplugs.
On weekdays at least.
Weekday?
Yeah. Weekends it's I think the first train is a little later. But yeah, it's like the metro stop, dude. It's like right across the street.
Oh fuck.